میگویم و بعد از من گویند به دورانها I was the official coffee maker of the house. This is when I was, I don't know, from the time I remember, maybe I was 6 or 5 or something. And so whenever my aunt would come home or my dad would come home, they would immediately, just look at me, and I would know that I have to go to the kitchen and make the coffee. The cups are kind of like espresso cups, and then the coffee that we use is called Armenian coffee, which is kind of ironic because it's actually Turkish coffee. But Armenians make it a little bit differently because they add powdered chickpeas to a very finely ground coffee, and it gives it a more creamy texture. Coffee readings to me have never been, a huge, serious deal. I mean, it's, you read coffee, you drink the coffee, you turn over the cup, and then somebody reads your cup. Because in my family, everybody read each other's cups. It was, when my grandmother was around, she was the main reader, and then my aunts were. And my dad always, my dad sort of led a very turbulent life. So he was always getting himself into trouble. So everybody, the family was interested in reading his fortunes because they wanted to know that everything would be okay, And so part of the, I think the impetus for reading his cup was to reassure themselves that things will be okay. So you drink the coffee, and then there is this ground. The grounds are left because some of the coffee, I guess, dissolves in the water or is mixed with the water, and you drink it, and then the grounds, some grounds are left in the bottom of the cup, and once you turn it over, they flow down and they dry like that inside the cup. And so you look at the cup and then you see these images. Most people say that that's what they read.
ایمیج خودت این کارا انجام شده است یعنی کارا درسته.
People always ask about relationships, loved ones and those kinds of things. That's pretty common. There's always travel, that travel is mentioned, or like a news of someone, for example. A lot of times in my cup, because everybody knows, as far as the theater company is concerned, I just, I need money for the company. They always say, oh, there's money coming.
نه گم شو ننوشته، نوشته شده. شده. این چیه؟ ببین یه عین دیگه هم اینجا نگاه کن.
Like I have this friend in New York. She would read your cup for 2 hours, and she would, with interest, she would totally get into it and explore it and ask you questions, and so there's a difference in how the reader, how much interest the reader takes in the cup. So it's more fun when the reader takes more of an interest. And she, for example, my mom would read my cup. Usually when I ask her to read my cup, she will read it, no matter how briefly. She may look at it very briefly, but she will read it. Whereas I know that with other people, she won't even look at their cup. She'll say, oh, I don't want to, I'm not in the mood, or she'll just refuse to do it. So that also makes her, a special reader to me, because I know, in a way, I can always depend on her. And it's also a support system. It's intimate, it's supportive, it's, it is kind of a ritual, yeah.
Like an animal.
Yeah, it's like a bear almost. like talking down to someone like a child. And since I already interviewed you before reading your
She
comment,
knows who I'm talking to.
and that might be, sort of. I don't know if a coffee cup is a crystal ball. I mean, like everything else in life, you have to sort of take it with a grain of salt, right? And at the same time, I have to say that, more often than not, definitely my mom reading my cup, my grandmother, my sister reading my cup, it impacts how I do things. It impacts my expectations. It impacts my level of anxiety about something. Coffee cup reading, it's more a social activity. It's connecting with someone else. And it's an opportunity to talk about issues that might be that are personal, that you may not necessarily talk about, but somehow you connect, somehow you trust this other person because of the reading or through the reading, and you find yourself talking about issues that you might not otherwise talk about. So it's a mix of therapy and social, activity and just sort of personal connection.